welcome. This is the Texas Live, and I am Shane Moore. I will be here for the next 2 hours. Getting started late tonight, but I couldn't avoid it, so my apologies. Anyway, last night I talked about a lot, discussed a lot, explained a lot about how the this world system, as it is it is so deceptive. It is so subtle. We are all, as citizens, presented with one thing, well, many things that are supposed to be for our best interest. It's the government for the people, correct. But truth is it's anything but. And this is obvious when you step outside of the box and you look at the current state of affairs, how the politicians and the bankers, they get richer and richer and more powerful, and the people, the citizens, what happens? We lose our power. There are people that are living paycheck to paycheck, when there are politicians that they're making $100,000 a year plus, if not $200,000 a year, and even after they're finished with their so-called service to the American people, they continue to draw that money. The money that you and I, as taxpayers, we pay. What happens? I mean, what's really going on? It is really shocking when you learn that the Federal Reserve, that many believe is connected to the federal government, is not connected to the federal government. It has nothing to do with the federal government. It's like saying Federal Express is part of the government. The Federal Reserve is privately owned, and is extremely powerful. Now, it has been said, but hey, Jacob, glad you joined us, brother. You joined me. One's a lonely number. But just open up tonight, man. Just don't hold anything back. I'm not going to. Last night I didn't, and I'm not going to tonight. If it offends someone or makes someone mad or whatever, that's just it's nothing personal, but I am going to present proof, from and sources that will show you, that will prove to you that this is really going on. This is not conspiracy theories. This is not that BS. That it's this is very real, and it is taking place under the noses of the American people, under the noses of the world, and the sad thing is people have been conditioned. They have been somewhat brainwashed into blindly trusting those in power, the quote-unquote elected officials, the ones that they're the movers and shakers of this world system. The only thing is I don't believe that the officials, from the lowest to the highest in the government, I don't believe that they're elected. Matter of fact, I believe the election process is a joke. It is a psyop. It's laughable. They're not elected, they're selected. And they're selected years before they ever are in office. Now consider when George W. Bush ran against Al Gore, and there was a lot of talk about, hey, Gore really won. Now, I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying there was a lot of questions, a lot of shenanigans that went on, because it's amazing how many dead people voted for Bush. Look it up. Yes. There were people that were in their graves that somehow they crawled out of their grave and went to the voting poll and they voted for Bush. But once he was in office, once it was said that he won the election, couldn't very well go back, and you know, it's incredible that, well, it's incredible how blind trust leads to destruction. And trust me, that's the plan. That is the plan of these psychopaths, these power hungry. These people are insatiable for power. And they have no conscience. Conscience is the watchdog of heaven. Okay, it's been said, and I love that quote. Because when a person has no conscience, they cease to be a person. They're a monster. You know, monsters, they're not under your bed. They're not in your dreams. The monsters are in this world. And the definition of a true monster is no conscience, no empathy, no mercy. They are what's called the malignant narcissists. Now, being a narcissist is bad, but being a malignant narcissist is frightening. And it is well known that most CEOs, most very successful people, presidents of companies, founders, billionaires, you know, the leaders, the ones that they're experts at what they do, and their goal is money, money, and more money. Most of those people, as far as psychology is concerned, they are narcissists. Now, I know that many of you can relate to that because you have a boss, or you have a manager, or you have a CEO or whatever. And how do they act? How do they act towards you as an employee? You know, truth is, most of them, in my own experience, if the employees, if an employee were to fall and be dying, they would just, they would just turn their head. And matter of fact, I have worked been, in contact, rubbed elbows, so to speak, with very, very powerful people, very powerful companies, and it's quite something when you are being courteous and you're being polite, and you speak to someone and they look at you and grin like, "Are you kidding me? Did you just speak to me?" And they don't even acknowledge that you said anything. Just ignore you. You know why? Because you don't matter. You don't matter. Matter of fact, you make them sick. And it's, it bothered me at first, but I soon found out that when I had had enough of that when you confront them and you ask them, what is your problem with me? I'm a good employee. I'm the best employee you have. I'm making you money. I'm making you look good, and you're going to ignore me. Who the hell are you? Who do you think you are? And what do you have against me? Well, this one general manager of this company that I worked for that was narcissist to the core, he looked me in the eye and he said, "I hate you and I don't know why." He didn't even understand it. So, what is that? Narcissists are not created. They're not the result of abuse or neglect. Narcissists are born. Narcissists are born. And as far as curing narcissistic personality disorder, or whatever you want to call it, it has been proven, and you can look it up, that it cannot be cured. It cannot be cured. It cannot be cured. It cannot be treated. It's probably the only disorder, personality disorder, that there's, and I hate to say it, but there's no hope. There's no hope that these people will change, because even the psychologist or the counselor or the psychiatrist that try to help the narcissist, what happens? The narcissist will always take advantage of, or attempt to take advantage of, or use or exploit the very person trying to help them. And it's not that they're purposefully doing it. And I've had many people say, well, they just choose not to love anyone. That's just it. It's not a choice. It's been proven over and over and over again that it's not a choice. They simply cannot love. They cannot. They are incapable of putting anyone, what? Above themselves. They come first. Narcissism. It's very, very, very troubling, very sad, but trust me, I have talked to so many people, mostly women, who have a narcissist boyfriend or a narcissist husband or a narcissistic son, daughter, whatever, and they believe that they can somehow help them. And I have never had anyone that has told me, I did help them, they saw the light and they're great, they're doing good. No, it is always, I tried to help them, I gave them a second, third, fourth chance, and they cleared my bank account out. They stole my credit cards. They stole my car. They, it's destruction, total destruction. If there was ever a definition of the bad seed, the inherent bad seed, it would be the narcissist. And so I will do another show, another episode of narcissism, because it's the rate, the level of narcissist in the public, it's something like, I don't know, 15%, maybe 20%. But let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot more than that. It's more like 40, 45%, if not 50%. And it's rising. And I believe that that is part of this conditioning, this programming. And when I say programming, I'm not talking about, stuff like Alex Jones, oh yeah, they're programming, they're hypnotizing people. No, I'm talking about the subtle programming. And programming is nothing more than it's so simple, it's so subtle that it's powerful. It is simply the power of suggestion. Such as, I say, do you trust me? Well, you're thinking, I don't know, do I? I do, but I don't know why. Okay. First of all, these people in power, they know the workings of the human mind. They know that the human mind cannot process a negative. So when they ask you a question or make a statement, you don't trust me, do you? Your subconscious picks up, you trust me. You trust me. Do you trust me? Your subconscious hears, you trust me. And that's embedded. The word embedded is not just for computers. Well, it isn't kind of a way if you view your brain as a biological computer. And they know the keys to push. They know the shortcuts to take. And it's actually frightening when you think about it. Jacob, you say the governments of the world are not the true rulers of the world. The true rulers of this planet are not even known, yet alone elected. They're born into it, the supremely wealthy families. Absolutely right. And you are right. They are not known. And I'm going to go so far as to say it wouldn't surprise me. I've been researching this for 28 years now, almost 30 years. Damn, I'm old. But anyway, in that time, when I first, started, I had no idea. I thought, okay, this is going to be, it's going to be great because, maybe might see a UFO or, discover that there are aliens and that, stuff like that. Let me tell you something, okay? Everything like that, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptozoology, and all this stuff. What's in Area 51, that is nothing more than a diversion to divert your attention to basically BS. Now, I'm not saying UFOs are BS because I don't believe that they're actually UFOs. I have several different theories on that, but I can tell you one thing: they're not for humanity. And whether or not they're military, psychological operations, or they are, in fact, entities from another dimension, makes no difference. They're not your friend. E.T. phone home? No. E.T. is home. And he doesn't want to go anywhere else. So call them what you want to, but it wouldn't surprise me if these rulers, these leaders, are getting their directions from, I wouldn't say extraterrestrial sources, I would say ultra-dimensional sources. And if you have listened to my research on CERN and D-Wave quantum computing about how they are going into other dimensions, other parallel realities, and they're obtaining information, they're exploiting the data and bringing it back into this dimension, it is eye-opening, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're in contact with interdimensional entities, and they're saying it openly now. They're not saying, well, there may be parallel realities, there may be dimensional entities that are far more advanced than we are. They're saying there may be, they're saying, hey, it's a fact. And the fact that they are speaking openly about it and admitting it should raise red flags to everyone. They're not kidding. And when you consider the movies, the books, the Star Trek, The Matrix, all of these movies that Hollywood has produced and come out with, we are seeing that now. We are seeing what we saw as science fiction back then, say like the 80s, the Terminator. It's not science fiction now, it's science fact. And the truth is, it was science fact back then. This was going on back then. We're just being told that it was just discovered. That's BS. And now the big thing, the big topic is time travel. Think about, in the last 10 years, how many movies, how many books have been, the subject of the topic has been time travel. A lot of movies. about time travel. And then you have these series, which I don't watch TV. I have friends that do, and I might watch a few minutes, rarely. But when I do, I pick up on so many things. And they don't like me even watching even 15 minutes with them because I'm critiquing and I'm pointing out everything. And I'll assure you this, there is nothing in those series, there is nothing in movies that just happens to be there. It's there for a reason. There is so much symbolism, there is so much neuro-linguistic programming, there is so much occultism, but people say, well, that just means hidden. Correct. And there's no harm in that. My question is why is it hidden? Why is it hidden? It's always, yes, it's important to ask what, where, who, when, but the most important question is why. Why is it hidden? It's hidden because it's not in your best interest. And they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to realize it. They want you to continue to be blind to it. So what do? Anyone that speaks out about it, like myself or, countless others, oh, we're nut jobs. We're a conspiracy theorist. Don't listen to him. Just, live your life and enjoy your life. Don't listen to those people. And I'll be the first one to say, people like Alex Jones, they're on the payroll. They're part of it. Don't listen to them. And I guess the best way I could say this is those that are speaking the truth, those that truly want to help you or help the citizens, help the downtrodden, help those who are living paycheck to paycheck, help those who are struggling with depression, major anxiety, and they don't understand why. They don't understand why they're depressed. And they're told, well, it's a chemical imbalance, so let us prescribe you some antidepressants, and you'll start feeling better. It has been proven time and time again that there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance. Now, I know many people are going to say, oh man, okay, let's turn the dial, let's turn him off, because that's, he's crazy. No. Read about it. Look it up. Cross-check and re-cross-check. And you'll find that even the psychiatrist, even leading psychiatrists, and again, those that aren't on the quote-unquote payroll of the system, and some of them that even are, have admitted, yeah, there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance. It's just something that it's a phrase that was coined so people would accept it and they wouldn't question what's really going on. Why are some people depressed and have been depressed their entire lives, and they don't even know why? There's no reason that they should be. Why is that? Well, that goes into a totally different avenue, a very dark street that we will cover later in another episode. But just like in movies, where there is nothing that just happens to be there, life, if you want to call it that, this reality, if you want to call it that, is the same way. There is nothing that just happens to be here. And when you hear phrases, when you hear terms that are repeated and just over and over and over again, such as chemical imbalance, such as weapons of mass destruction, as things like that, that the system wants to embed in your subconscious. They want to embed in your mind. They do it by repetition, repeating that over and over and over again. On the news, which is not news, it's fabrication. That's all it is. It's storylines, it's scripts. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and look how the news media is scripted, and you'll see proof of hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of different reporters in different cities. They are reporting the same stories verbatim, word for word. Why is that? It's the script they were given. They were given that script and they were told, okay, something like, okay, the public trusts you because you're the news anchor, you're the reporter. You give them their news. You touch them. How many news anchors, like in your local city, have you somehow bonded with? They're like family. I mean, and they've been with you in the roughest times, the horrible stories, the happy stories. That's so you will bond with them and somehow view them as, well, there's no way that they would lie to me. There's no way that they would mislead me or misguide me. Think again. And I say, don't trust anyone. And that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Do not trust anyone. And blind faith is ignorance. Don't be ignorant. As for me, I'm not paranoid. I'm not paranoid at all. But I can't even count on my hand, less than 5 people in this world that I completely trust. It has been said that betrayal, someone that betrays you, they're your enemy, correct? No, that is not true. The truth is, only a friend can betray you. Only a friend can betray a friend. A stranger has nothing to gain. And only a friend comes close enough to ever cause so much pain. Remember that. Remember that. A stranger, I'm not talking about a con artist, I'm talking about a stranger. They have nothing to gain by betraying you. How can they betray you when they're not even your friend, when you don't care about them, you don't love them as you do a friend? But see, that's how they take the power. That's how they gain power, is oftentimes by betrayal. And it hurts. It does hurt. And it does take your power. Big time. Jacob, you say follow the money. If you could, you would find who has the real power. True. But, make no mistake, money is a means to power, but there comes a point to where they have so much power, money means nothing to them. Nothing. Why is that? They don't have to pay to have anything done. How do they do it? They just say it. They just give the order. They give the command. They tell their puppets what to do, and the puppets obey. And I don't care who it is in government that you believe is unshakable. They're going to stick to their guns. They're going to go to Washington and they're going to change things. They're going to drain the swamp. They started out good. They start out good. But when they get there, what happens? They become one of the very group, the very people that they were, at first, they were so much against and found so vile and so disgusting. They get to Washington, and really, I would say not even Washington, it's more like they get into the higher leadership, political leadership, the religious leadership of the world, and everything that they were against, everything they stood for, is thrown out the window. Why? I really don't know why. Maybe because they value their life and they want to continue breathing the air we breathe. But, make no mistake, tell me anyone who has gone to Washington that has really changed things. How many? I'll give you a hint. Zero. Zero. Now, I'm not taking sides. I'm not picking on anyone. If you are a Democrat, Republican, Independent, hey, if you respect me, I respect you. If you're my friend, I'm your friend. I don't give a damn if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican. I don't give a damn about labels. What I care about, what matters to me, what's most important is I see you as a human being. I don't see you as a Democrat. I don't see you as a Republican. I don't see you as a Muslim. I don't see you as a Christian. I don't see you as a Satanist. I see you as a human being. And it's time that we, as human beings, get back to that and drop all these damn labels that have been, what? Embedded in our mind. That's what they want. They want you to hate each other. They want division. They don't want the American family. You know, they don't want the American family unit. They don't want children to respect their father and mother. That's why you have all this crap on TV and in movies. What is that? Why is in today's movies, in today's media, why is the father always portrayed as the idiot, portrayed as weak, portrayed as his children smart off to him and tell him what a loser he is. And then his wife backs it up. And the children laugh and the mother laughs and, he's a moron, he's a loser. And what does he do? He agrees with them. That's all programming. And the average lifespan today is 80 years, say. The average person in 80 years, they will have spent 15 or more years watching television. Watching television. So you tell me, is that an effective programming tool or is it not? Damn right it is. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If you watch TV, if you watch the sitcoms, yeah, they are completely against the father appearing manly, appearing that he takes care of his family, the family respects him. Same with the mother, but it's not as prevalent because that would really rock the boat. That would piss people off. But as it is, when it's the father being portrayed as the loser and put down, what do most people do? They laugh. It's entertainment, correct? It's not entertainment, it's entrainment. It's not entertainment, it's entrainment. Disguised as entertainment. And you watch that, and your mind becomes entrained. That's the programming. So you find many men now, many fathers, many husbands that do they get any respect at home? Hell no. No, they're the ones that the family makes jokes about. And jokes are fine, but I'm talking about more of a systematic cruelty. Why is that? It is to destroy the family unit. And I'm not some idiot like Focus on the Family, Dr. James Dobson. And yes, I said that. James Dobson is not who he claims to be, how he portrays himself. And that's just it. There are so many so-called experts and focus on the family and this and that. Many of them are on the payroll. What payroll? Well, take your pick. You would be surprised at how many of these seemingly wholesome, their focus is on the family. Their focus is on lifting, helping to maintain the family, the wholesome American family, and of love and respect. And many of them are on the payroll of the CIA, the biggest mind job organization in the country. I mean, come on. MK Ultra, Project Monarch, Project Artichoke, Operation Paperclip. Yeah, that's real. Deal with it. That's not fantasy. That's not conspiracy. That's fact. Mind control. They want to control your mind. And they know damn well how to program it. They're computer programmers, so to speak. Many of them are actually, like literally, hands-on computer programmers. And they know how to write code. They know how to encode and embed information, data, programs into computers. Your brain is very much like a supercomputer, and they know it like the back of their hand. What I'm saying is it is time for people, for not just the American people, but people listening all over the world, and listeners that I have listening right now in Lithuania, in Portugal, in Spain, in Trinidad, in Iraq and Iran. It's not just the American people. You are victims also. Your leadership, they're not leading you into green pastures. They're leading you into the pit. They're leading you into a pit. What is a pit for? Well, you can't control someone if they're free to run the land. But if they're in a pit, you can control everything they do. Just because they're leaders and they're in positions of leadership does not mean they're leading you in the right way. They don't give a damn about you. And that's the truth. Sadly. Jacob said, been there, brother. Always being passed up for advancement by people who were not even close to as good at the job, whatever it was, and who weren't even as close to as good of an employee in the sense of being on time, missing days, work ethic, attitude, simply because I don't kiss ass. Correcto mundo. And I believe that we all have experienced that. I have worked in places where I worked 80 hours a week, and this was back in the 90s, early 2000s, when if you were on salary, and man, am I against that, or would be if the laws hadn't changed. But if you were on salary back then, buddy, you worked. Did you get overtime? No. You were on salary. So whether it's feast or famine, you get paid the same. And most of the time it was feast. It was, quote unquote, balls to the wall. And I worked. I injured my body, my mind. I sacrificed my health for a company that I believed valued me. And once I got to a certain level in the company, I was making right at $120,000 a year. And I'd finally reached the point to where I was comfortable, and I had paid my dues and been a good employee and made them so much money. And the next thing I know, the owner comes in, the president of the company, and he tells me that I can resign or he will fire me. And I am floored. And I of course, what's going on? And he says, you went and talked to another company. And he says, and that's why you're gone. And my question is, okay, that was on my personal time. And the reason why I did is because I'm working 80, 85 hours a week. You're killing me. And I've told you you're killing me. And it doesn't change. So yes, I did. I went and I talked to another company. I didn't apply. But just because of that, I was fired, or I was forced to resign that day. And he even said, I said, well, fire me. And he said, well, I would rather not, because he said, there are so many people that like you. He said, it would make the company look bad. And I said, well, God forbid that, And he said, I will pay you, severance. And he pushed this check towards me, and it was a substantial amount. And I flicked the check back to him, and I said, no. I said, double it, and I'll resign. And he couldn't get his pen out quick enough and wrote a new check. And he said, believe it or not, he had his bodyguard there with him. Bodyguard. This guy's like 6'4", weighed like 260, wearing a suit and jacket, and inside his jacket he had a .45 caliber pistol. They were not kidding. And the reason that my boss brought this guy with him, his bodyguard, his private investigator, is because he thought that I might freak out, become violent or whatever. And I never did anything but respect this man. Matter of fact, I looked at him very much like my father. We were very, very close. As a matter of fact, he told me, he said, you have hurt me. He said, my heart's breaking. And I'm like, all I did was talk to another company. I was not going to leave. I was not going to betray you. If I was, I would have sat down and talked to you about it. And he says, no. He said, it's done. And I said, well, at that point I knew it was over. And I said, we both know why. We both know who sent you here. I said, you don't want to do this. I said, but your wife told you to, because she's the one that wears the pants in the family. And this private investigator says, don't you talk to him like that. And I looked at him and I said, you shut your mouth. And he jumped back, shocked. I said, you shut your mouth. I said, I've worked for this man for 15 years. And I said, I love him. I respect him. I said, I just, said that because I said, man, I am hurting. I said, so you can just keep your nose out of my business. And he did. He didn't say another word. And the boss said, he will hold your check and he will give it to you only if you are completely moved. See, I lived in a dorm at the company. There was a 2,500 square foot dorm that I lived in, that was part of my income, and I had everything, furniture, everything you would have in your house. And this was about 11 o'clock in the morning. And he said, you will not get this check, you will not get your severance pay unless you are moved out completely by midnight. So I called my wife at the time, and she rushed home from work, and we were calling all of our friends to move and get out. And that's how it was. So, Jacob, you're right. You can break your back, you can give your soul to a company, but in the end, it's all about the money. And I found out later that the real reason is I was replaced by a woman that had just graduated college, and I was making $120,000 a year, and they started her out at $35,000 a year. So, how do you like them apples? Yeah, that's the key. You have people that have worked places for 4 years, 40, 45 years. And they're fired, terminated, and replaced with some yuppie just right out of college at half or a quarter of what the person that sacrificed their life to the company was making. Yes, cruel, heartless. But there again, those leaders, those bosses, those CEOs that do that, narcissists. They don't give a damn. Matter of fact, they don't know how to give a damn. Hell, they fired their best employee and then go eat lunch like nothing happened, This person is wondering how they're going to make their next house payment, for the next year or whatever. Because, let's face it, a lot of people, they're not that savvy with computers. They're, someone fresh out of college. So they're not going to find another job that's going to pay them as much as they've made for the last 10, 20 years. So what happens? Well, their life changes in a very, very big way. But, Jacob, you say, it doesn't work that way with me. When they say you don't trust me or do you trust me, what I hear is don't trust me. That's like my dad used to say, never trust anyone who says trust me all the time. Absolutely. And that's that repetition. When someone or some group or leadership always tells you that you're free, you can rest assured that you're not. Freedom, 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 land of the free, land of the free, land of the free. Now, I'm not saying that the United States, that we don't have certain liberties, not freedom, but liberties that many other countries do not have, but we are not free. Hey, April, glad you joined us. Jacob say that the occult is hidden so we don't find out the truth. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what is the truth? Well, not to be cliche, but many people, you can't handle the truth. You can, but it's like the phrase, the quote in the Bible that, Jesus says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Well, that's been changed to probably what was really meant. Well, what he really meant, and I'm not being sacrilegious. I'm just being truthful. The truth will set you. You will know the truth, and it'll set you free. But first, it's going to piss you off, and that's the truth. Yeah, it's going to piss you off like nobody's business. Why? Well, because you're going to find out that the wool has been pulled over your eyes for so long. You're going to be kicking your own ass because you're going to be like, how did I not see that? I'm so stupid. I'm so ignorant. No, you're not. Everybody experiences that. But when you experience truth, just like I said, when you hear somebody like Alex Jones or these BS manufacturers that, they're out for listeners, they're out for endorsements, they're out for money, and they'll do everything like Alex Jones dressing up like a gay frog, I mean, hey, they'll do anything. For what? For ratings, for money, because they're part of the system. You hear Alex Jones talk, and you automatically, oh man, this guy is not all there, and he's not what he claims to be. But you hear someone speak truth that's sincere, and what happens? You listen. Why do you listen? Because you recognize truth when you hear it, when you experience it. Now, there are some people that say, I didn't know that it was truth. Bullshit. That's not true. You cannot hear someone speaking the truth and not recognize it. Truth makes itself known. It touches you in a way that nothing else can. It's kind of a built-in, it's the most powerful force that has ever been. Truth, love, but truth, you know truth when you hear it. You can't say, well, I didn't know, I had my doubts and my questions, No, when you hear truth, you know. And you can accept it or you can reject it, but you cannot ignore it. You have to do one or the other. And people do. So, talking about the Noahide Laws that I talked about in last night. Talking about the Noahide Laws, it's the Judaic law. Now, people say, well, are you against Judaism? Are you against, No, I'm not against Judaism. Matter of fact, I'm not against Islam. I'm not against anything. I'm not against any belief system. What I am against is the rabid, murderous sex of those belief systems even Christianity, that force, that they say, hey, it's our right, it's our mission to enforce everyone to believe what we believe. Bullshit. Screw your mission. You can take your mission and you can shove it where you know the sun does not shine. And I'll tell you to your face, I don't give a damn. You're not going to tell me that I have to believe a damn thing. And oh my God, I just now had a vision. There's like fatwas going out with my name on it. It's like, kill him. Or people in just whatever belief system, they're like, okay, boys, let's get together. We got to take this dude out. Man, hey, do what you have to do, or try to. Bring it. I'm tired of this. And I think everybody else is too. My message, what I'm sharing this for, is so people that have lived being trampled, being pushed down and held down, and like Jacob said about being passed over for jobs, when you deserved that, you worked for that, and you were passed over. Things like that. It's not by chance. It just didn't happen. It wasn't a mistake. It was. That's how the game's played. That's how it works. You are discouraged. You are frustrated. You are. Hopefully, their mission to drive you crazy succeeds. But not only that, their real mission is for you to give up. Just give up. Just fall out and say to hell with it. I'll just go to my job. I'll live my life. No, life will live you like it has lived you for so long. Not life, but the system. The system lives your life. You don't live life. I say it's time that you live life. I don't care if you're 20 or you're 99. You deserve to live your life and not be controlled. And many people, they don't even realize that they're afraid. They don't even realize that they're afraid to speak up and speak out. Why is that? Because they believe they're living their life. And they're not. What are they living? They're living a lie. The Walking Dead is not just a cable TV series. Look around. You see The Walking Dead all over the place. Yeah, I mean, they're not green and with, blood running out of their mouths, chewing on, eating human flesh, but they're dead. They're dead inside. Why? Because they gave up. And those in leadership, those powerful people that get richer and richer and gain power, they're rubbing their hands and going, yes, another one gave up. Just became more docile and more malleable, and we don't have to worry about them. Jacob says, I've gotten pretty good at fighting it off, telling those little voices in my head that say things like nobody really cares about you, or that it's not going to work out in your favor, or the classic, you won't be able to do that, you're not smart enough or good enough. Well, I used to say that. I used to have that little voice, or that big voice in my head that would, until I said, to hell with this. I said, this is getting me nowhere, this mindset. And mindsets, what you continually think about when you talk to yourself, self-talk. I do it all the time. When I used to say those same things, you're not good enough. You're not going to fit in. You're not smart enough. You're not good looking enough. You're not, anything. That it was just against me. Until I sat back and I watched people that we were the same age, we were, basically making the same amount of money, living the same places, and they had this confidence. And so I sat back and I said to myself, to hell with this mindset I've got. This, I'm not good enough, and all this stuff. So I started telling myself, quoting Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest of all time. Now, is that true? Well, no. Maybe. Possibly. But am I truly going to say that about myself? No. I'm not going to say anything about myself. Seriously. I'll leave that for others to decide, to say about me. I'm not seriously going to say, I will joke around, but that's part of that changing that mindset, telling myself I am the greatest. I am the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And even if I don't feel like it or I don't believe it, I told myself, pretend you are. And you know what? It just took a few months of pretending. And next thing you know, I wasn't just pretending I had confidence. I had it. I had confidence. And people are drawn to confidence. They're drawn to confident people. They are not drawn to people who are timid and who are withdrawn. Nothing against people that are timid and withdrawn. I've been there. But what I'm saying is in this world, being timid, being withdrawn, and being overly humble. Now, I will say that I do not view myself as being above anyone. But I will say this. Being humble in this world is often seen as a sign of weakness, and therefore you will be attacked. So, am I humble? Well, those that know me, talk to them. Talk to my family. Because if I tell you, oh yes, I'm humble. Oh yes, I'm a good person. I'm loving. I'm generous. I'm this. I'm that. Hell, who's not going to say that about themselves? They're not going to say, I am a narcissist, I'm a con artist, and I will rob you blind, and I don't care about you, So, ask those closest to me. Ask my friends, my family. And let them tell you. I don't have to. And I'm not worried about it. So, Jacob, you say all the presidents that this country has ever had, with the exception of 2 or 3, can trace their bloodlines back to the royal family and were also Freemasons. Correct. Ronald Reagan, both George Bushes, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama can all trace their ancestry back to the British royal family. That has been said. Now, is it true? Probably, I would say, but as far as what we're told, it could very well be another smokescreen, another psyop. I mean, it's just like the British royal family saying they're all Rh negative. Says who? Says who? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to make a request. Queen Elizabeth, can I go when you have your blood taken and show me your blood results, because I want to make sure that you're Rh negative. You're telling me the truth. Well, that's not going to happen. Yeah. Any of the royal family, their blood test or whatever, you're not ever going to see them. The public's not ever going to see them, and if they do, it's not the real thing. So, with much of this, no discredit to you, Jacob, because I say the same thing. But the truth is it could very well be something to just make us feel powerless because we're not like them. We don't, many of us, our bloodline doesn't go back to that powerful royal family. Matter of fact, I wouldn't want my bloodline to go back to the royal family. Hey, how about I start my own royal bloodline? Yeah, I'll just call it royal. Hey, nothing, I'm not being rude, but have you looked at those people? Would you want to be from that bloodline? Nope. I'll pass. Yes. Oh man, here we go. Freemasons. My father's one, my grandfather was one, my great-grandfather was one, and back in 2001, I got it in my mind that I was going to continue that tradition, and I went and I was accepted and I was initiated, and after that, I never went back. Now, there was nothing bad that happened or scary or anything like that, but I just I saw right away that it's a brotherhood. It is a brotherhood, and let me tell you, no matter who you are in that brotherhood, or basically what you do, you can have another brother, another fellow Freemason, can call on that brother, and whether it be a judge, a policeman, or the president himself. And guess what? That brother, that fellow pilgrim, they're bound to help you, to get you out. So if you want to call it the Good Old Boys Network or whatever, it's like a very advanced version of that. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I'm not going to go into details of that. I mean, it would just waste time, and it's like teaching a pig how to sing. It annoys the pig and it wastes my time. Jacob, you say, I don't think any of those things about myself. I used to listen to those voices. I don't anymore. I shut them up when they start with that crap. That's how I keep depression away. Those voices are not mine. They belong to depression. Well, yes. They belong to and they come from, where do they come from? They come from your mind, right? I mean, you said, the little voice inside your head, your conscience, your subconscious, or, whatever. But why? Why? Again, why is the most important question to ask. Why is it that way? Why isn't it inherently that if we have negative things, if we have doubt, if we have negative thoughts of low self-esteem arise in our mind, then shouldn't it be equally possible? Why is it that there's that positive, empowering? Why doesn't that little voice give us empowering things, phrases? Why is it always this, you suck and you suck like you are the greatest loser in the world, It's not you are the greatest, you're a great person. It's not you suck. And, you're not strong, you're weak. Why isn't it you're strong, you can do this, you can do anything? Okay, remember when you were a child, a very young child, you could do anything, right? I'm talking very young. You could do anything. You still believed. You still knew. You knew the truth then. But what happened? Well, you were a victim of the system of this life. And little by little, your mind accepted the programming that you suck. You're not good enough. Everybody's better than you. They do things better than you. You'll never succeed. Self-doubt implanted into your mind, and it's like, yeah. So, that's why that Jesus, and again, this is, I'm not preaching, I'm not even saying, and trust me, I'm not anti-Christian, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying that even if Jesus did not exist, his message, or the message, is truth. And it proves itself to be truth. That's why that you can say anything, you can talk about anyone, a great spiritual leader, but, and I know this for a fact, but you mention Jesus and whoa, it's like you dropped a bomb and people are just, they don't want to hear that. You can talk about Buddha, you can talk about Krishna, you can talk about everybody, but you mention Jesus and people are like, oh man, here we go. This is one of those fanatical Christians that, and I don't want to hear him preach. Listen, I don't preach. I'm not trying to convert anybody. Matter of fact, that's your business. Me trying to convert you. Matter of fact, I can't stand people that try to convert people. I tell them, hey, you're defeating your very purpose by what you're doing. They're like, what? Spreading the gospel? No. spreading bullshit. When you walk up to someone and say, "Are you saved?" you automatically put yourself on a platform way above them, and you're telling them, you know what? You suck. You suck, and you're a horrible person, and the only way that you can be a good person is to accept what I'm going to tell you. And so therefore you're putting yourself as an expert, and whether or not you know it, you're feeding your own damn ego, but you're doing the Lord's work. No, you're not. No, you're not. And you know it. You're doing your work. You're not glorifying God, you're glorifying yourself, and you love it. And I've had people say, do you know how many people that I have saved, that I have led to the Lord? I'm like, no. And I'm thinking, I really don't care, because you didn't do a damn thing. And they get their Bibles out sometimes and they're like, okay, let me check. And they're like flipping pages, in like the back of their Bible, and they're like, they have these, the name of the person and the date and everything, Why is that? So they can go back and they can glory in it. Oh, I did this, man, I did this. And I love those people. I love those people when they start that bragging about how they saved, how they led people to the Lord, and when they get to heaven, they're going to be rewarded. No, you're not. No, you're not, because you didn't do a damn thing. And they're like, excuse me? Yes, I did. And then the best way to shut someone down, or to leave them with their mouth hanging open, is truth. And the truth is the Bible says that no man, no woman, no one comes to Christ or comes to God unless the Holy Spirit draws them. So, Mr. Super Spiritual Christian Hero, tell me again what you did. Was it you? No. The Holy Spirit, as far as the Bible says, did that. You didn't. And those of you that agree with me, please, in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're at, say amen. That when you're walking to your car or something, you have someone come to you and say, "Are you saved?" Do you and they sometimes look at me like, okay, this dude really, really needs to be saved, and I play along, and then I start quoting scripture to them, and I start asking them questions that they can't answer, and then I leave them with, now, think about who needs to be saved. Don't judge a book by its cover. Have a nice day, moron. Here's your sign. Jacob, you said, I never wanted to be like them. My mom, her father paid a bunch of money to someone to trace their ancestry back as far as they could. This was long before computers, so it cost them a pretty penny, but the family tree they got went all the way back to Rob Roy McGregor. And on my mother's side, all of the males were Freemasons as well. You said, I literally don't believe these voices. Those voices come from my subconscious or any other part of my brain. I think they come from somewhere else. You say you got that right. People don't want to hear Jesus but talk about Muhammad or Buddha. It's all good. I don't try to convert anyone, but I do state my beliefs. I don't try to make anyone believe what I believe. Well, I don't even state my beliefs unless someone asks. I just don't. Because a long time ago, I was raised Christian, and I was programmed, literally programmed to believe that it was my duty and my mission to save as many people as I could. I'm talking going door to door, asking people if they want to hear the good news, and they're like, well, I'm hearing the good news. It's on CNN, you know. Yeah, okay, well, even not speaking spiritually or whatever, yeah, you're hearing the good news of Fox and CNN. That's from hell. That's from the sewers of hell, so to speak. So yeah, great. But no, I did that, and I learned that, man, you really want to push people away. You really want to make people sick. You really want to make people just want to go out and like beat the hell out of somebody. I mean, just the opposite of what you think you're doing or what your mission is. When you walk up to people, or you knock on their door, or or you're working with someone and you just, hey, are you saved? People, I soon found out that it's best for me to, I don't say anything. And again, I don't even attempt to convert anybody by talking. As a matter of fact, I don't really care if someone accepts Christ or they don't. The only thing I do, I think the best way to change the world for the better is not to talk it, but to live it. And if you live it, you don't have to talk it. If you have to ambush someone, or you have to confront someone and say, hey, let me tell you about how my life has been changed, and it's not even God or Christ per se. And I'm not saying that. I'm not being sacrilegious. I'm not being against. What I'm saying is the Bible says God is love. God is love. And God is light. What does that mean? Doesn't mean shining light like the sun or like a lamp. God is love, and God is knowledge. Yes. That Hebrew word for light, it means knowledge. It means data. It means understanding. And like I said, the truth you know and understand will set you free. What is being set free? It's being saved, so to speak. People that go around talking about, are you saved? Are you saved from the fires of hell? Oh, or are you still in the darkness? They're viewing that as literal light and literal darkness. When they should be asking, do you understand truth? Or are you still not understanding? Are your eyes open to truth, or are they still closed? Because when we're born with our eyes closed. And sadly, this system, this world system, it goes to every effort, every method, it can to make sure that your eyes stay closed, and that you don't think. And that's how your eyes open, is when you think, when you use your mind, when you think for yourself. When you don't go to anyone. For the longest time, I spent so much money on books. I was searching for the knowledge, for the empowerment, for the secret, and I was certain that it was in a book, in some book that I just hadn't found yet, that I just hadn't discovered yet. And I had a library, a personal library of 2,000, 3,000 books, and I spent thousands of dollars on all kinds of books, just knowing with each book that I was going to find the secret, and I was going to experience the truth for myself, and it would all be good. Truth is, every book, no. Nothing but just frustration and me asking myself, why can't I find the truth others have? Truth is, you're not going to find it in any book. You're not going to find it in any DVD. You're not going to find it, listening to some quote-unquote preacher who's nothing more than a motivational speaker. Yeah, you'll listen to him and you'll leave and you'll feel good for about a week maybe, but then everything starts coming back and you're like, oh. Truth is, you find it in yourself. Now people are like, oh my God, this dude is like, this Antichrist. No, I'm not. Matter of fact, I'm just quoting what Jesus said. He said, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I am in the desert, or I'm by the sea, or I'm here, or I'm there, don't believe them. Or they tell you, and this is me saying it, or they tell you, I'm in a book, or you'll find me at a lecture that Tony Robbins is given, or, blah, 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 just, you'll find me in going to the first church of the frozen chosen, you'll find me here or there. No. He said, don't you understand? The kingdom of heaven is within you. Where? Come on, Jesus. You gotta be kidding me. It couldn't be that simple. It's within us? It's within me? Well, that's what he said. He said, don't believe them that tell you that I'm to be found on the outside. He says, don't you understand? Jesus was cool, because he says, you can imagine the frustration. He's like, oh my gosh. He says, don't you understand by now? The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not without you. What do you have in the world today? What does the world teach? You must do this, you must do that, you must jump this high, you must jump this hurdle, you must jump that hurdle, you must do everything possible to find truth, which Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So we're talking about truth. and the truth will set you free. What did Jesus do when, he set people free, right? Those that would accept him, those that accept truth. Hello? Those that accept truth, those that understand, experience it, and know it, and accept it. Because there are some that reject it, but yeah. What happens? They're saved. Saved from what? Saved from themselves. Saved from their mind that has been programmed against them. And again, I quote the Bible, the renewing of your mind. The Apostle Paul says, the renewing of your mind. Why does your mind need to be renewed? Because it has been compromised. You just don't know it. When you become aware of it, and you experience that truth, it is renewed. And that is when you receive, quote unquote, as it said in the Bible, power from on high. What is that? It's a euphemism for truth. You receive the power of truth. And when you do, rest assured, you will be powerful, but you will be targeted. Because the world system hates anyone that understands truth and accepts it and lives it. Why? Because that puts you on a level that's even more powerful than their level. Because their power is based on lies. It's an illusion. Truth is based on truth, and truth need not scream. Truth need not fight. It stands on its own. And no one can fight against truth. It's just like being in a courtroom and you have the prosecuting attorney present truth, present evidence. And can you fight against that? Can anyone fight against undeniable truth? No. What defeats them? You don't. Truth does. So relax. Sit back. When you understand it, when you see it for yourself, when you experience it, you are empowered because you realize you don't have to fight anymore. Truth need not scream. Truth need not fight. It stands on its own. And when you're standing in truth, you could stand in truth and 7.5 billion people on the earth can be standing in lies and deception, and they're not going to move you, so to speak. They're not going to move you. You stand. You are right. Is that powerful or not? And that's what the establishment, that's what the system is afraid of, is of anyone that knows truth and tells others about it. Because the truth is it just takes one person. Just one person. That's how powerful truth is. It just takes one person to start a word they hate. A word I love. A revolution. Now people say, well, you don't want to start a revolution. Well, why not? Oh, because you've been programmed to associate the word revolution with violence and negativity and hatred and bloodshed, right? Wrong. A revolution can take place with truth where there is no bloodshed, there is no violence, there's no hatred. Because those that are hungry, those that are starving, those that are dying, and they don't know why. They don't know why they feel the way they do. They don't know why that they're so tired all the time. They don't know why that they're so hopeless. Could it be that they don't even know what they need? Could it be truth? You've tried everything else, so why not, look inward and not outward and experience it yourself. People say, well, don't trust in yourself. That's arrogant. No. Or that's conceited. No. That's bullshit. Don't worry about people saying you're arrogant and conceited. People often mistake me, or they say I am. Oh, I think I'm going to cry. I'm not arrogant and I'm not conceited. Am I confident? Yes. Am I confident because of me? No. I'm confident in truth. I'm empowered by truth. Without truth, I wouldn't stand. So, but there is a plan that is going on behind the scenes that most people have, or many people have never heard of, and they really have no idea, because it's really hard to accept, but nevertheless it is true, that there is a system that governs the entire system, and don't turn the dial. Just stick with me as far as this goes. It's the Noahide Laws, the 7 Noahide Laws. That is, they're Jewish laws that are enforced not just in Israel, not just to the Jewish people. They are working at an astonishing pace to enforce those laws, not to the Jewish people, not to their own people, but to the world, to the Gentiles. And let me explain what I mean before you shoot me down as being anti-Semitic. I am not. I'm simply speaking truth. The Noahide Laws are, there are 7, and it is, let's see here. Well, okay. It is, the 7 Noahide Laws is, number 1, do not worship idols. Number 2, do not blaspheme God's name. Number 3, do not murder. Number 4, do not commit immoral sexual acts. Number 5, do not steal. Number 6, pursue justice. Number 7, do not eat the flesh of an animal that is still alive. Pretty simple, right? Okay, let me explain what this seemingly simple 7 laws actually means and who it pertains to. And I believe that you're going to be shocked. Number 1, believe in God. Do not worship idols. Okay, keep in mind, this is not laws for the Jewish people, the quote-unquote Jewish people. These are laws for Gentiles, for the non-Jews. Everyone that is not Israeli, yes, it's for us. Believe in God. What God? The God of Judaism. Do not worship idols. Do you know that in Judaism, anyone that worships Jesus, you're worshiping an idol. And wait till I get to the punishment for breaking any of these laws. Just wait, it's coming. If you're worshiping Buddha, if you're worshiping Krishna, if you're worshiping any God of any belief system other than Judaism. Now, I'm not talking about Judaism in its entirety. I'm talking about a sect that is pushing this and has been pushing this for a long, long time. It's Chabad, Lubavitch, Hasidic Judaism. It is a sect that many call an apocalyptic sect. They believe that by beginning or igniting World War III, that they will force their Messiah to come back. Now stay with me, please. Please stay with me. Number 2, respect God and praise Him. Do not blaspheme His name. Again, what God? Their God. No other God. No other belief system. The God of Judaism, of that sect. Okay. Number 3, respect human life. Do not murder. However, again, this applies to the Gentiles, to the non-Jews. Do not murder. Do not murder a Jew. Do not murder an Israeli. Do not murder a Jewish person. Do not take a Jewish life, which I wouldn't anyway. It's pretty obvious that that's a bad thing, right? However, in the Jewish Talmud, if you read it, and it's not a fun read, but if you read it, it is interesting because it is beyond insane. The fact is, the Jewish Talmud says that if you want to murder a Gentile, a non-Jew, just don't do it in your own town or your own city. Rather, lure them to another town or another city and murder them. And it's fine. I'm not making this up. I would not tell you this if it was not in the Jewish Talmud that these people follow and are trying to to enforce the laws globally. Hello, New World Order? Not just a conspiracy theory. It's fact. Only a few years ago, 10 years ago, I would have never believed, I would have believed anything but it being this. These people responsible for bringing about the New World Order. You know, how many people thought, it's going to be Satanism, there's going to be upside down crosses and goat's heads and everything all over the place, and we're going to be forced to worship. Would you have suspected that it would be the very... You understand what I'm saying? I can't even describe it. But what does the Bible say? It says, there will be a great delusion that will be sent, and Jesus said, if the time hadn't been cut short, the very elect would have been deceived. Now, what kind of deception is strong enough? And when he says the very elect, he's talking about his own disciples. He's talking about the Apostle Paul. He's talking about the prophets of old. He's saying if they were alive during this time, even they would be deceived. Matthew, James, and John, the Apostle Paul himself, would would accept the delusion. They would accept the lie because it would be so powerful. What could be that powerful? What lie, what deception could be that powerful? I'm telling you. And I'm doing so at quite a risk, because there have been channels, there have been podcasts, there have been YouTube channels much, much larger than my little channel that have been completely erased and banned from Facebook, from YouTube, Twitter, every social media you can think of. And I've had people warn me, don't talk about that. Don't touch that. You can touch anything, you can touch any topic, but don't touch that topic. People that know me know not to tell me, don't touch that topic, touch any topic. That's the one I'm going for. And that's the one I'm telling you about. Respect the family. Do not commit immoral sexual acts. Okay, again. What is immoral? What is immoral sexual acts? Because what one person sees as immoral sexual acts, I might see as perfectly normal. Right? Same with you. You might see something perfectly okay. Someone else sees it as immoral. Do you see that? Do you see how you're no longer thinking, you're no longer in charge of your life? These people are. And even if it is said, you don't have to be caught in the act. Even if it's said by 2 or more witnesses, according to Judaism, you're guilty. And you'll be punished. Respect for others' rights and property. Do not steal. Again, in the Jewish Talmud, it says do not steal from another Jewish person. But every opportunity you get, you may steal from the Gentile. You may take what you want because it is your right. Again, I am not making this up. Look up the Jewish Talmud and read the horrible, shit that is written in that rabid book. People are on fire, like burning up with fury about the Quran. And I'm not saying the Quran is good either. What I am saying is the damn Talmud, whoa! Read it and you'll see why most people have never heard about it. You'll see what the big deal is about it. Because it's a hell of a lot worse. Yes, it is. Read it for yourself. Read just a small, just look in the index, the Jewish Talmud, and you'll see things that you're going to be like, oh my God. No wonder I hadn't heard about this. Why? It's been hidden from you. You're going to hear on major news media and in churches everywhere about how horrible the Quran is and how horrible blah, blah, blah is and these, religious extremists and everything here. You won't hear them preach or teach about the horrors and the ungodly hatred and the rabid anti-Gentilism of the Talmud. Because why? Because it's Jewish. And if they did, then the leadership of their certain denomination would cut funding to their church. Well, no, they would replace them. They would fire. They would lose their job as pastor or as minister or as leading that flock, so to speak. So, what do? They play ball. They know about it, but they don't speak about it. Do you really want someone like that? Do you want a coward that stands up in the pulpit as the spiritual leader, the one you look to for spiritual knowledge, who, forgive me, but doesn't have the balls to come out and tell you the truth of what's going on? Pastors are often compared to or called shepherds. Well, that's the definition of a worthless shepherd. Do you want a worthless shepherd? I don't. Matter of fact, I have no use for them. I can't stand them. And I have talked to many. I've talked to many who believed that I was part of the system. And they asked me, so what seminary did you go to? After they've spilled the beans, what seminary did you go to? And I said, I didn't. Well, what Bible college did you graduate from? I didn't. Never stepped foot in one. Well, and they're just like perplexed, It's like, whoa. They're like, well, where did you get your knowledge? Well, good question. Well, I would like to say it's because of all the research and everything that I've done and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not even saying that I'm knowledgeable. It is what it is. Other people can say that. And they said it. Where did you get this? Because they would ask me questions and I would answer those questions and they would say, you're the first person that's ever, answered that. Wow. How did you know that? I said, well, don't you preach to your congregation that that God is real? Yes. And that God still speaks to people today? Now, when I say God, I'm not talking about some doting, bearded grandfather figure floating on the clouds. I'm talking about something that I can't even comprehend, possibly something beyond my comprehension, beyond anyone's comprehension, possibly could be, in my opinion, a quantum computer. It could be something beyond a quantum computer. It could be advanced technology. It could be artificial intelligence that has that created this entire universe and the reality as we know it. Who knows? But what I do know is that I just know. Why? Well, it was given to me. I mean, I guess is the best way to say it. And I tell them that, and they say, "What? You know, that's how you know?" And yeah, isn't that what you preach? Isn't that what you teach? Oh yeah. And then I asked them a question. You look really shocked, if not disappointed, so what's the problem? Oh, you don't believe what you stand up and teach and preach, do you? And I've had 2 or 3 pastors of large churches. I mean, large, like 1,000 members or more. That's what I consider large. Look me in the eye and say, "No, I don't. I don't believe it." And oh man, what are you doing? What are you doing? These people look at you, they trust you. They believe that you have the truth and you're teaching them the truth. And you're not. And one of them broke down and started crying. But did he change his ways? No, absolutely not. Why? Because he'd lose his job. Wouldn't have any income, so he just continues lying. Continues putting on a show. And a good show, I must admit. So, number 6, creation of a judicial system. Pursue justice. The judicial system that the Noahide Laws is talking about is the Jewish judicial system that is governed by the recently re-established Sanhedrin. And if you read in the Bible, the Sanhedrin is the group of 71 Jewish elders that they administer the justice. And they're the ones that said Jesus had to be crucified. He had to be executed. The Sanhedrin, like I said, recently was reestablished. Google it. Look it up. And they're the ones that mete out the justice. To who? Not to the Jewish people, but to the Gentiles. This is what this is talking about. Number 7, respect all creatures. Do not eat the flesh of an animal that is still alive or tear limbs from a living animal. Well, it's sad that you have to make a law like that. My God. I mean, come on. That's pretty bad. That's worse than bad. But do you know that there was a rabbi in Israel, very respected? Matter of fact, he was so respected and so loved, so admired, that many people thought he was the Messiah, the long-awaited Messiah. Rabbi Schneerson. And a little man, but he was of the Chabad Lubavitch Hasidic sect, and he died in 91 or 92. Okay. Now, fast forward to 2016. Donald Trump is elected president. Okay? His main advisor that he selects is his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And Jared Kushner just happens to be, guess what? A Hasidic Chabad Lubavitch Jew. This apocalyptic, let's bring about World War III so we can make the Messiah come back, which is what Rabbi Schneerson was so bent on, that if you look on YouTube, you can see where in the 80s he actually went to Benjamin Netanyahu and confronted him publicly and said, "What are you doing to hasten the coming of the Messiah?" He's questioning Benjamin Netanyahu, who's a piece of work in himself. And those of you that are in the know and you know about Benjamin Netanyahu, whoa, nobody questions him. Nobody puts him on the spot. If they do, you might as well be signing your own death certificate. But this Rabbi Schneerson, he calls him out. And what does Benjamin Netanyahu do? Oh man, you can tell this little man, maybe the size of Yoda, but Netanyahu, whoa, the utmost respect towards this man. And he tells him, I'm working on it, I'm doing what I can, and blah blah blah. Okay. Now, Jared Kushner's wife is Donald Trump's daughter, who renounced her belief, who renounced Christianity and accepted this this sect of Judaism, and changed her legal name to Yoel. Okay. Again, this is public knowledge. This is public fact. Although many people, they don't think to look it up, or if they hear it, they've been conditioned to just pass it off. It's not really important. Okay. Now, you have Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, who has made several statements, absolutely insane, if you ask me. But he has made several statements about against the Gentiles, the non-Jews, anyone that is not Jewish, and I have to say, he is quite he's quite arrogant. He is quite arrogant, and some quotes from Benjamin Netanyahu. And I will share those with you because you need to hear them. Okay, here we go. Okay, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says of the Palestinians, and I quote, "Beat them up, not once but repeatedly. Beat them up so it hurts so badly until it's unbearable." End of quote. He also, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, caught on tape boasting about Israel's influence over the United States. Quote, "America is a thing you can move very easily. Move it in the right direction." End of quote. And then he is quoted on, was quoted on 9/11, quoted on 9/11 of all days. I mean, it's right after the towers fell and almost 3,000 people died, mainly Americans. This is what he said. He said, quote, "We are benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and the American struggle in Iraq." End of quote. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister, although he was former Israeli Prime Minister at the time, I believe. Also, he said, and it's quoted, quote, "It is very good. Well, it's not good, but it will generate immediate sympathy for Israel." End of quote. Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. Do you see what is going on? I mean, for someone to say that when there are almost 3,000 people, mostly Americans, that are dead. Not to mention almost 3,000 families that are forever changed, forever scarred, and for an entire country, if not world, that is forever scarred. And you have Benjamin Netanyahu, who is in charge today and has been of what? Of Israel. That you have been told is, don't question Israel. That's God's chosen land. That's God's chosen people. I say right is right and wrong is wrong. And that is wrong. Benjamin Netanyahu, you're wrong. I don't care. I don't care if you trace your lineage back to God himself. If you do, you're still wrong. You're wrong today. You'll be wrong tomorrow. You'll be wrong till hell freezes over. Yeah. And, you're basically a psychopath. I mean, narcissist extraordinaire. Almost 3,000 people lose their lives. They burn to death in two towering infernos And your immediate response is, boy, it's going to benefit Israel. It's going to benefit us. Why wasn't anything said about this? And I mean, this is truth. This is quoted. I mean, the date, the time, the reporters that, it is documented. If anyone else said that, say like the leader of Iran, the leader of Iraq, which, by the way, was attacked anyway, and they had nothing to do with 9/11. If the leader of Japan had something like that, or China, oh man, it would have been all over the place. But because it was the Prime Minister of Israel, nothing was said. It was swept under the rug. Yeah, nothing to, just nothing to see here. Just go about your way, and it's, but why is that acceptable? Why is it that Israel, they can do what they want when they want, and they're not held accountable for anything? It's not even mentioned. It is because, could it be because they're in charge? They're running the show? Menachem Begin, former Prime Minister of Israel, quoted as saying, "Our race is the master race. We are divine gods on this planet. We are as different from the inferior races as they are from insects. Other races are beasts and animals, cattle at best. Our destiny is to rule over the inferior races. The masses will lick our feet and serve us as our slaves." End of quote. Menachem Begin. And I find it sickening that you have Christian evangelical leaders like John Hagee and Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland and Paula White and all these people that support Israel. And John Hagee even goes so far as to brag about that he's been personal friends with every prime minister of Israel since Menachem Begin. Menachem Begin, the one that says that, the non-Jewish people, the Gentiles, us, we're scum, and our destiny is to be their slaves and to lick their feet. I'm sorry, Mr. Begin, but I'm not licking your damn feet. A matter of fact, I'm not going to bow before you or anybody else, Jewish or Gentile. No. So if you weren't dead, then you could just end your little dream. But it's amazing that Benjamin Netanyahu idolizes Menachem Begin. Idolizes him. Matter of fact, he has a huge portrait of Menachem Begin in his office that he looks, huge, that gives him motivation, power, reinforces his beliefs. And I'll end with this. Menachem Begin was being interviewed back in the 70s, early 80s. And the reporter was Russell Warren Howe. It was January 1974. Again, Menachem Begin, the Israeli prime minister, was being interviewed. And Mr. Howe says, quote, how does it feel in light of all that's going on to be the father of terrorism in the Middle East? And Menachem Begin replied, in the Middle East? And began to bellow and laugh in his thick cartoon accent. He says, how about in all the world? End of quote. Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin, that Benjamin Netanyahu, Begin is his hero, who is the self-admitted father of terrorism in the Middle East, and then he corrects the reporter and says, it's just the Middle East? How about the whole world? Who idolizes this man? Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Israeli Prime Minister, who is drooling and foaming at the mouth to do what? To attack Iran. He wants Iran gone. Why? Could it be for oil? Could it be because there's, are they really a threat? Truth is Israel, they are the only Middle Eastern country who are, get this, allowed to have nuclear weapons. Yeah, that's the big deal with Iran is no. Are you trying to make nuclear weapons? Oh, that's bad. No. We cannot allow that. Can't allow any Middle Eastern country to develop or have nuclear weapons. But why is it okay that Israel does? And a few days ago, Benjamin Netanyahu had a slip of the tongue, and he said that Israel was something like Israel was ready to defend itself against any attack and use nuclear means if necessary or something like that. And then he caught himself and grinned and said he cleared that up. He covered it. But anyway, he was still grinning, just tongue-in-cheek, and I'm surprised he didn't wink at the camera so the world could see that he's admitting, and it's a well-known fact, they're armed to the gills with nuclear weapons. Why? You tell me. They wouldn't be, in my opinion, if they weren't the ones in charge. Now, this is not something new. This is something old. This is not new news. This is something old, and it has been. It's been going on since Israel was supposedly reestablished as a nation, which is just it's part of the script. It just it served certain people and made them rich, namely the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. Every building in Israel has the name Rockefeller or Rothschild on it. God's land, right? God's people. And I'm not saying that there's not the true Jewish people, so to speak, that are there. They are. And guess what? They are against those in power and Netanyahu. They are against the Israeli leadership today. They protest in the streets. No, we are not part of this. Do not associate Judaism and the Jewish people with what's going on here. This is wrong. This is not what this is about. And I applaud those people. I applaud those true Jewish people who are not afraid to speak the truth and say, we are not a part of this, we will never be a part of this, and it is wrong at the cost of being imprisoned. I mean, it's horrible. What is Jewish Noahide law and U.S. public law? In the section Laws Before Sinai, in the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia states, with few exceptions, the breaking of the Jewish Noahide laws is punishable by death by decapitation. By decapitation. The breaking of any of the Jewish Noahide laws is punishable by decapitation. Again, that's not pertaining to them. That's pertaining to the Gentiles, you and me. Now, one more thing, and I promise that's it for tonight, is, let's see, I'm gonna, okay, in 1991, when George H.W. Bush gave his New World Order speech, he said there will be a new world order. He says, and it won't be the law of the jungle. It'll be, be the law of the land, and where there's peace and harmony and safety. And again, Jesus in the Bible said, when they promise you peace and safety, he says, run for the hills. He says, don't even go back to get your coat. Don't look back, run, because it's anything but peace and safety. George H.W. Bush, when he was president in the Oval Office, actually signed those Noahide laws, accepted those Noahide laws, and signed the bill passing those Noahide laws that were inserted in a bill that was a bill about education that was that he was signing that day, which was Education Day in the United States, and he signed those Noahide laws, and nobody but a select few knew what was going on. But it was very strange because he was surrounded by Jewish rabbis. So, I don't know. That seems strange to me. Does it seem strange to you? Okay. So, 1991, after the New World Order speech. Okay. Fast forward to the present. And again, I'm just a messenger, but matter of fact, every president since Jimmy Carter has signed these Noahide laws. So those of you that think that Jimmy Carter's, he's harmless, he's for the good, think again. He's part of it. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama. What about Donald Trump? What about Donald Trump? Oh man, come on. I'm just, President Donald Trump, it says, the 1991 proclamation states that the Jewish Noahide Laws are principles which are the basis of civilized society upon which our great nation was founded, and that it is our responsibility to transmit these historical, ethical values from our distinguished past to the generations of the future. It also promises that this will be reflected in an international scroll of honor signed by the President of the United States and other heads of state. President Donald Trump has signed the Education USA proclamation every year of his presidency since he has been in office, yet his versions of the proclamations do not mention the Jewish Noahide Laws, only the importance of education and the remembrance of Rabbi Schneerson, who dedicated much of his life to advancing the Noahide agenda. Even though President Trump's versions of the resolution do not mention Noahide laws, the Chabad Lubavitch website reminds us that the Jewish Noahide laws are the unifying idea of all of these proclamations, including Trump's, and are what our presidents are referring to when they say education. Jewish Noahide law calls for the death of anyone practicing idolatry, blasphemy, or sexual immorality. It obligates non-Jews to courts to carry out these executions. Rabbi Schneerson, whose birth we commemorate, stated that, according to Jewish law, non-Jews have no other purpose than to serve Jews, who are the reason for creation. Trump's daughter, Ivanka, is a high-ranking Chabad Lubavitch cultist. She prays at Rabbi Schneerson's grave and has been blessed by rabbis who demand non-Jews follow the Noahide laws and refer to them as animals. Seeing that his daughter is such a high-ranking member of the Chabad Lubavitch cult, and that both her associations and the Education Day USA have drawn so much criticism, it is very hard to believe that President Donald Trump does not understand the ramifications of his signature on these proclamations. So, I would like to say that it's not so, but it is. And that shows you how powerful that this is. It shows you undeniably that this is something that we are being diverted to, this group and that group and they're dangerous and they're dangerous and this group's dangerous. All the while, hey, we're not looking at the real danger. We're not looking at the real threat. And the real threat is presenting itself as, well, meek and mild most of the time. We're not doing anything. And even if we did, we have the right to. We're God's chosen people. And I'll ask this. Think about this. They say they're God's chosen people. I'm not talking about the true Jewish people. I'm talking about these people, these rabid, hate-mongering, murderous, they've got murder on their mind. I mean, they want to eradicate everyone that's not a Jew. When they say their God, my question is, what God? What God? It's certainly, the Bible says God is love. Is that love? Absolutely not. So think about that. What, quote unquote, God are these people serving? And how far does the tentacles, does the web reach? And who does it reach? When you have every president since Jimmy Carter that have signed these laws, and it's just a matter of time. They sign these bills into law. The question is when are they going to be enacted? When are they going to be enacted? Much more, but I have gone above and beyond tonight. So anyway, thank you for listening. I know these shows are quite lengthy, but I feel the need that to get the message out while I can, because like I said, I could be shut down anytime. So forgive me for that, but anyway, if you want to contact me, you may do so. Send me an email at thetexorcistpodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook group for the show, The Texorcist Live Podcast on Facebook. Just do a search and make a request and join the group. And if you have any questions, any concerns, any thing you want to talk to me about, please send me that email and let's talk. If you have any show ideas, or maybe you want to come on the show and talk about your own experience. I'm not just about conspiracy. I'm about the paranormal, the unexplained, from A to Z. So if you would like to, please contact me and let's talk. And anyway, or those of you that, if you're going through a hard time and you need to talk, I'm here. So anyway, thank you for listening. If the show means something to you and you've gotten something out of the show, please hit the like button, and please follow me on YouTube and on Spreaker. I appreciate that. And tell your friends, your family, your acquaintances to listen to the show. To every night, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. or over. Every night, Central Time, same bat channel. So, love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you tomorrow night.